This video is a replay of a trade I took today. Now, it probably goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. I am not a financial advisor, and trading entails risk. Just because I got these results today doesn't mean that I can get these every day, nor that you can. Remember, the entire premise of the investing project and the $1 million experiment is that I am not an expert, and yet I am learning how to do this. So for heaven's sake, don't just blindly copy me. Instead, find a mentor, someone who is an expert, and join their community. Pay for their mentorship. This approach has worked very well for me, and it likely will for you too. So use this video partly as education and partly as inspiration. After all, if I can learn this, you can too. Well, kind of a lousy day today. However, it was a day in which I followed my rules, but the market just didn't cooperate. And to be honest with you, I don't get too upset about days like that. Where I get really upset are days where, for whatever reason, I don't follow my rules and end up, whether I win or lose, not following my rules means that whatever I'm doing is not repeatable. It's not predictable. It's not scalable. It's not something I can build on. And so following the rules is critically important, even if it results, as it does sometimes, in a loss. And today was one of those days. So the first thing here is that I went to buy the Russell, the M2K. It had sold, there were some red bars and a big red bar and a little red bar. And this actually is where I should have gotten in. And I didn't because things were moving quickly and I just, was already past that by the point I noticed it, frankly. And so I got in here, which isn't terrible. I think that's reasonable, but it was late. I should have got in down here. Anyway, it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have made a difference. But let me go ahead and play this. It still would have ended up being a loss because this was just too soon. By the way, I took 4 contracts instead of 6 because I could see that this was having to stretch beyond the 100 handles. Oh. So I ended up stretching this down to 125, I think it was 125. Yeah, 125 points. And long story short, this started to go up. It started to look reasonable, but then it turned around, and you can see, the rest of the markets look like they're doing something okay. But then this ends up kind of turning around and coming back down, and it didn't take long before this just stopped me right out. Bottom line is, I was a bit eager, and one candle wasn't really enough. Truthfully, I would probably do this again. Even so, because this is the sort of trade that often plays out, and in this instance, it just didn't. It was too soon. So, oh well, that's what happens. We'll let this go ahead and stop me out because I did take another trade, which I also lost on, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. We'll get there in a moment. But this is also where I'm thankful that I had the presence of mind to scale down so that I wasn't taking the full 6 contracts at 125. That would be a larger loss than I was prepared to take. All right, so I'm going to pause this. What is it, 7? Oh, actually, no. So I actually did get back in to the M2K again. Let's let this keep going, actually, because it sets up again. And 29.90 even is where I ended up getting in. Let me see what time it was. It was 7:26, so we're not there yet. Let's let this go down a little further. It's about 7:20, so we're coming up here. Now I'm going to put the trade in here just because I don't want to miss it. It was 29.90 even that I got in. So let me just make sure I get the right spot. 29.90. And let's just see how this goes here. Now, really, I probably should have, if I'm going to play for the first, normally I've wait for the first green candle and then I get in as it goes above that first green candle, which is what I did up here. But as it gets further down, you can see it's already below the pre-market low. The pre-market low is where I got in that, bouncing off of that the first time, which is a good place to get in. This is even further below that. I probably should have put this right about here. And then depending on when this bar closes, 2.5 minutes from now, so let's just let this bar close. So in retrospect, oh, it was already starting to go green, I see. Yeah, I can see I'm a little early getting in, quite frankly. Oh, unless, no, I'm in the right spot because this is where the bar ends up closing. Now there's no green bar here, still a red bar. So bottom line is it still may have been too early, but I waited and I said, okay, as soon as it goes above, I'm going to take it. And I did snug this up, although I didn't snug it up. I reduced the size. Oh, I did take a full 6 contracts here, not just 4, by the way. But I actually gave this 20 handles of room or so. Long story short, I had 70 handles of risk total on this trade. So it was a lesser amount of risk than normal. And I'm pleased to say that I resisted the temptation to move this to even though that would have saved me from a stop. Because the fact of the matter is that's that's what causes me to fail and miss out on trades like all the time. Now, what happened here was a news bar. This was a legitimate setup. This is perfectly fine to take this, but this was some sort of, I don't know what the news was, but it was a huge spike and everything just spiked down for a second there. And that's just the way it goes. Sometimes there's a news bar and it's ugly and it takes you out. That's exactly what happened here. So this was not a missed trade. This was perfectly legitimate as a setup. The unfortunate reality is that sometimes the market doesn't cooperate. But like I said earlier, that's the cost of doing business, and I'm not upset with that. I just got to stick with the plan. More times than not, that results in a very profitable trade. So there you go. That was today.